Hello everyone, Happy New Year. Hope you're all doing very well, had a safe, happy, healthy New Year's Eve. In today's video, after doing Batman Mask of the Phantasm video, I decided what the heck, to do some more Batman animated movies, but for now, I'm only sticking the basics from the Bruce Timm DC animated movie universe, and I will eventually do the other Batman animated movies outside the DC animated universe. But for now, I'm going to be doing like Batman Mr. Freeze Subzero, Batman Beyond Return of the Joker, and Batman Mystery of the Batwoman. Batman Mr. Freeze Sub-Zero was the second spin-off movie from the Batman animated series. This movie was basically a response to Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin, but done 10 times better. No comparison right there. It was also an apology for Batman fans for how bad Batman and Robin really was. This movie took it more seriously. It was way more adult-oriented than Batman and Robin. Even my dad said this was way better than Batman and Robin. This is a little bit more darker and mature. Maybe not extremely dark, but still. This movie has great dialogue, great writing. Granted, it's no Mask of the Phantasm, but it's still a damn good movie by all means. It has a good opening using Tim Burton's Danny Elfman Batman movie soundtrack, then freezes Batman's logo. That's a cool opening. We see how Mr. Freeze in the Arctic with the kid he raises and his wife Frozen, and some explorers crash his ice lair home. The frozen pod breaks and Victor Freeze's wife's in a bad state of condition. Mr. Freeze freezes the explorers who trespass on his land. In a way, it sounds a little bit like Creature from the Black Lagoon when you think about it. Then it cuts to Batman and Robin stopping muggers from robbing a bank. Granted, the scene is not important to the story, but it's still a cool epic opening intro to Batman and Robin. Bruce Timm was also showing how you can make a good Mr. Freeze storyline. This movie shows justice to Mr. Freeze. The basic plot and premise of this movie is about Mr. Freeze kidnapping Barbara Gordon because she has a rare organ blood type that can help cure Mr. Freeze's wife. Batman and Robin must save Barbara Gordon from Mr. Freeze. I would not mind seeing Mr. Freeze as a villain in a future Batman movie. Batman and Robin gave the Mr. Freeze villain a bad rep. If you watch this movie, Heart of Ice episode from Batman the Animated Series, Mr. Freeze is a great Batman villain. He's also the most sympathetic Batman villain misunderstood. You feel bad sorry to see how sad and tragic he is. All he wanted to do was find a cure for his wife and not lose the woman that he loved.
In this movie, Mr. Freeze has very great dramatic dialogue lines, not cheesy one-liners like Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin. Mr. Freeze does not say, "The Iceman cometh. Alright everyone, chill. What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age." Don't get me wrong, I love you Arnold Schwarzenegger, but take notes on that one.
You can say Mr. Freeze is the most tragic Batman villain, but that's a different debate between him and Two-Face. Or heck, maybe Clayface for that matter. In the past, I've read some various Batman comic books where he fights Mr. Freeze. In the original comic books, Mr. Freeze comic books, back in the Silver Age, his first appearance was Batman number 121 in 1959. He looks so different compared to what we're used to seeing in the cartoon, modern-day comic books. His name was not Mr. Freeze. His name was Mr. Zero. He's not like what you see in this movie or the animated series or the Arkham video games. The character was made for laughs, not being taken seriously. This movie basically continues the final conclusion of Mr. Freeze's story arc line from the animated series. Despite that we saw Mr. Freeze 2 more times in the New Adventures of Batman and Batman Beyond. This seems to be a never-ending debate from Batman fans on which is the real final ending story to the Mr. Freeze in the animated series. In my opinion, it really depends on how you want to look and judge at it in your own mind, which one is the proper closure to Mr. Freeze. Regardless of which one is the final Mr. Freeze storyline, Bruce Timm in the DC animated series never failed me to deliver a damn good Mr. Freeze cartoon storyline. I like the voice actress who plays Barbara Gordon, voiced by Mary Kay Bergman, but sadly she is no longer with us. She died in 1999 for committing suicide. She was a really good, talented voice actress. She was on South Park, voiced various Disney characters in Disney animated movies, and she did the voice of Daphne on Scooby-Doo from Zombie Island through Alien Invaders. If she had lived longer, she definitely would have voiced Daphne in other future Scooby-Doo cartoons, But at the same time, I did like Greta Lyle voice as Daphne, who was a replacer. Barbara Gordon only has one scene in this movie dressed as Batgirl. Throughout the entire movie, she's just Barbara Gordon. This is basically how Batgirl should have been portrayed in Batman and Robin. As I said in my Batman and Robin video 2 years ago, Alicia Silverstone was horrible and sucked as Batgirl. I like how she wants to help Mrs. Freeze's wife, but done the right way, not off the medical books. She believes that Mr. Freeze's wife should be treated in a hospital, where she'll be well taken care of, and hopefully, they will find another donor that matches her blood type. Melissa Gilbert was the original voice of Batgirl, Barbara Gordon in the animated series. I'm not sure why they did not bring her back for this movie. Later, she was voiced by Tara Strong in The New Adventures of Batman. I didn't realize as a kid with all the different voice actors of Batgirl, like I noticed now as an adult. Dr. Gregory Belson is an old friend of Mr. Freeze and a colleague. This character was a real piece of shit and an asshole. Despite, yes, he was in a lot of debt he was trying to pay off, but still no excuse how he's a shitty person. When Bruce and Dick are investigating Barbara's case and kidnapping, Bruce is told how he's an expert in cryogenic frozen. The colleague admits that he is a jerk and not a nice guy. His death scene was not a loss. He was voiced by George Zanzes. I'm not sure I'm saying his name right. Believe it or not, he played the voice of Perry White on the Superman animated series. The kid Konak is alright. He's not a stereotypical annoying kid. In a weird way, Mr. Freeze raises him like a son despite Mr. Freeze is a bad guy. He treats the kid well, didn't harm the kid. It shows that Mr. Freeze still has a soft side and a good heart. To some degree. I know, it's a little weird saying that. It's said how he explains to Barbara that his parents died, but he does not explain how they died. I've noticed a debate with Batman fans about how and when this happened. Well, the simple answer is this was definitely before The New Adventures of Batman, or as I call it, Season 4 of Batman the Animated Series, but again, that's a different debate, different topic. Robin is Dick Grayson. There was also a romance between Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon in this movie.
Robin does not act like a whiny bitch like in Batman and Robin in this movie. Take notes of that, Chris O'Donnell.
Like a lot of fans point out, if any main characters end up together on a show, it will affect the show's ratings. I like the motorcycle chase scene when Dick Grayson is trying to save Barbara from Mr. Freeze, but he fails.
The last time we saw Mr. Freeze on the animated series Deep Freeze episode,
when he stops billionaire corrupt businessman Grant Walker from freezing Gotham City, Mr. Freeze stayed and sang with his wife in Ice Underground. They don't explain how he got out of the frozen glacier from that episode. This is a good conclusion, Mr. Freeze's wife Nora Freeze finally being cured. A good closure to the character, but still sad for Mr. Freeze, because he can never go back to being human again and live a normal life. When Mr. Freeze watches the news footage, finding out his wife has been cured, he feels happy and sad, but walks away with his 2 polar bears, hoping Nora will find love and happiness again. I like how in this movie, the finale climax ending is suspenseful. After when Mr. Freeze breaks his leg, he helps Batman, and he's not the enemy anymore. Batman saves his wife and Barbara saves Konak. Just when we hit the end when the power plant is on fire, explosions getting worse. Mr. Freeze saves Batman, Barbara, and his wife and Konak in the elevator. Batman comes back to save Mr. Freeze, but he was too late. Batman escapes the explosion hanging on the Batplane with his Batarang gadget, and of course, Mr. Freeze survives the explosion. This movie is another 1 hour longer episode of the animated series. This movie also came out 3 years later after the animated series ended, and the new Batman Adventures was still on the air at the time. While I do like this movie, one minor nitpick about this movie that is very minor, not a big issue, the animation is good at times, but in certain shots, you can tell they use CGI, but it's not the worst. To a certain extent, it holds up 50-50. Just like Master the Phantasm, this movie was made on a bigger budget. Also, I wish this movie was a little bit longer. I never realized how this movie is only an hour long. At the same time, I still love and appreciate this movie for what it is. Also, Batman is not the main focus of this movie. He takes a backseat. And this is really Mr. Freeze stealing the show. So basically, this is really Mr. Freeze's movie. This is what Batman and Robin should have been. Anytime I watch the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher Batman movies in a marathon, I skip Batman and Robin and watch this movie instead. My first view of this movie was on Space Jam and other kids' Warner Brothers VHS tapes coming attractions. As a kid watching and seeing the company attraction before seeing the movie, I remember thinking to myself as a little kid thinking, wow, this looks cool and awesome. I want to see this. I don't know why, if you look at all the attractions coming to this movie, they used clips from Batman the Animated Series. I used to think those clips were from this movie, so I saw the connection as I got older, seeing how they used clips from Batman the Animated Series. My theory and guess is that maybe because they did not film this movie yet, that was a way to market and promote this movie. As a little kid, I remember when this movie came out on VHS tape, I remember begging my parents to buy this movie for me to add to my Batman Animated Series VHS tape collection. I got this Christmas. I'm not sure it was Christmas 1998 or maybe Christmas 1999. Just like Batman Mask of the Phantasm, very nostalgic for this movie. Unlike Batman Mask of the Phantasm that was released in the movie theaters, this was almost considered to be released theatrically. But due to Batman and Robin's failure at the box office, they decided to release this movie straight to home video on VHS tapes. This is the last Batman movie Bob Kane watched before he died. What a way to go out on a good Batman movie to watch before passing away. But if I was going to die, I'd choose Batman Mask of the Phantasm as a personal preference choice. After this movie was a big hit and success with home video releases, they originally intended to make a follow-up sequel called Batman Arkham, where basically Batman and Robin are fighting Arkham Asylum villains that escaped Arkham. This basically would have been a 1 hour longer episode of Trial, but this concept was later used in the Batman Arkham video games, but of course with change-ups. Another reason why this movie was not made, because of Batman Beyond's success and popularity, they decided to make a Batman Beyond animated movie, which became Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. I wish they made more like this, continue the animated series. This story idea and concept sounded pretty cool. As I said earlier, if you want a better Mr. Freeze movie to watch, this movie is it. And throw out your Blu-rays and DVD copies of Batman and Robin. That was my video of Batman and Mr. Freeze, Subzero. See you next time for Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. Stay tuned.